Like mentally exhausted today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the lull before the rest of the storm. Whew. All right. Yeah, we got the it's Wednesday. All right. So for us, normally this is the day where it's midday, it's midweek. This is my longest day. Mondays are usually pretty long, but Wednesdays feel like the longest. So many meetings and other stuff. So it just feels long. You know, that always drags into the rest. So everybody, this is our first time sitting down since the Lilac run. So we're just going to talk about that a little bit. Your favorite part of the run, what was it?
I think my favorite part of the run was seeing community show up the way they did. I don't know. When I was thinking about putting together events just last month, that's kind of the vibe that I was imagining.
Fair.
Seeing everyone show up, having our team together with matching shirts, you know, being dispersed throughout the race, but meeting up afterwards and everyone being excited and talking about it. We did a whole photo shoot afterwards. You know, we went out and got something to eat a little bit afterwards.
It was definitely good vibes for sure.
It was good vibes all around. Like working, we said in the beginning, there's nothing that brings people together more than like working on something together in community that's hard to accomplish, and we accomplished it.
Yeah, we definitely said there's definitely been an ethos here of having the work ethic, like not necessarily being the hardest worker in the room, but being willing to do the work. There's definitely ethos of that here. It's nice. It's nice in a way that is hard to explain. It's nice in a way that feels like again, people care. And people want to care more, and people want to connect more, and people are here for themselves, but also here for other people. Like it's nice. Shoot, my favorite part. I mean, overall the vibe is great, but if I had to give my favorite part, I think it was seeing Dan join Emily towards the end, like supporting the journey, because the journey to like physical fitness in and of itself can feel lonely as hell, because you have your standard and then you change that standard. And when you change that standard, you're doing it by yourself, right? The people around you aren't really going to understand. Like they may love you and be willing to make space, but they can't understand what it's like. Like let's say everybody's out eating hot dogs or some type of barbecue food, and all you can do, and you have to stick to, you can't have the potato salad, you can't have the mac salad, you can't have the sweet potato fries. Like you're cutting down what you can consume and how you can consume it in order to be present. That feels like shit, right? Like across the board. So watching someone's spouse support their journey was like A1, right? To me, that's what's supposed to happen, right? So it was a beautiful thing to see the spouse show up, Emily's spouse, Dan, shout out to Dan, to show up and really support what she was doing. Like run with her. Like that's why I was like, anybody standing on the side, yay. Like that, to me, that was the most dope part. Sarah, people showing up. Like Brad and them. And I mean, not showing up with like a Go Sarah sign, but a Go Team GID sign. Like really the support. Team, they showed up and call it garb to actually like show their being together, but also supporting the journey. Right. And Junior's family, same thing. So that it's a tie between that in general for me and meeting Junior's patriarch, not his father, but his grandfather. Like those were the two big moments for me. Like whenever I've had a lot of men in my life. I've had a lot of different relationships with men in my life. And whenever a man brings me a man that he values and respects and introduces me, it shows the type of value that I have to you. And that's give me in the feels type moment. So it was dope. Like those two things together, man, no matter how much went right or wrong that day or how much went right, those 2 moments stand out the most to me. Like, we talked bodybuilding. He told me about his journey. Junior attributed his whole starting of his journey to him. Wow, and like, you know, I could tell we vibed well, because even when we were done talking, he came back over, showed me old bodybuilding photos. Like, we were just talking. That was dope.
Yeah, that is dope.
So shout outs to I'm gonna call him OG, triple OG, Junior's grandfather. He was super dope. So to me, again, the whole run was great. I like the idea of coming together for a similar goal, and we trained all the way up until
that part.
We trained. You know, we were running no less than 4 days a week, and I wanted to say we were running 5.
Yeah.
Most of us ran 5. Like,
If
a
you
lot
were
of us
doing
ran
it, yeah.
5. Yeah, if you followed along.
Yeah.
We use the Nike Run Club app, which is absolutely free for anybody who wants to start a running journey. And I will definitely say it's kind of like what we're seeing now. It's hot outside. People are actually wanting to spend less time in spaces and more time outdoors. Mm-hmm. So it's like roping people back in to do what they're called here to do. Fair, like getting them to plug in, getting them to do the things they need to do, kind of deal. And like, to me, that feels amazing. So we have to be more intentional in how we help people in this season, just because a lot of people are, let's call it, distracted.
Yeah.
Right? It's easy to be distracted in the summertime.
Oh yeah.
Fair. So we had the meeting yesterday about like how our space creates play for people. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, we got to like turn that up a little bit in this horrible heat, which is interesting in and of itself.
I kind of like it.
I mean, I enjoy it, but like a lot of people are very finicky about it. Fair. Mm-hmm. Should we? This would be a good topic. We should cover let's cover being a beginner. Mm-hmm. I want to cover that just because Justine came today.
Yeah.
And like, the apprehension was easy to me, and I wasn't part of the initial consultation, so you actually didn't share the herniated disc thing. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know. Mm-hmm. Right. So when she came in and she was like struggling with her back, and I was like, I'm like, what's going on? You know, what's this client experiencing? I'm like, man, just, you know, it's just a simple exercise. Mm-hmm. But she has herniated disc. So it ended up becoming an entire topic about pain, training. What Darnell call it? Where the sickness is the cure, right? So training, feeling terrible, actually becomes training helping you actually work through those things and increase your muscle mass in your back and feel much better about your herniated disc. Mm-hmm. Fair. So I would say, speak to being a beginner. Like, where did you start your journey? How did you start your journey? And was there anything that stood out to you?
Uh-huh. So now we're talking fitness journey in general. We're talking movement in general.
We can make a movement. Let's do both. Let's do both, fitness and then movement.
It's hard to pinpoint where my fitness journey started exactly. Wow. I think I started getting into lifting weights after I started teaching dance classes, and that just happened naturally as I have access to gyms. You know, I'm teaching these dance classes in a bunch of different gyms.
Fair. Yeah.
So I ended up becoming close with some bodybuilders. You know, like, I at least have my dad, who was the first exposure to, he was a bodybuilder here in Rochester, and he exposed me to like how to work out, like a bit of what I should be looking at. So then I ended up becoming friends with bodybuilders. They showed me more and kind of fell in love with it through that. As far as movement goes, though, I think that started way before that. Probably when I got into martial arts, when I got into Taekwondo.
Okay.
That was the first experience with learning how my body works. You know, I'm technically a black belt. I don't know if I remember most of it, but my mom did it with me. To be real, I got into a fight, and it wasn't a fight, it was a massacre, and I was the victim. But yeah, I got into a fight, and my mom was like, yo, why didn't you defend? She was mad. She was like, why didn't you defend yourself? And I was like, I tried, I don't know what I'm doing. And she was like, oh no, I'm not having that.
And then she signed you up for Taekwondo?
She signed both of us
That's
up.
hilarious.
My
Oh,
mom's
that's dope.
also a black belt.
That's actually kind of dope.
Yeah, she did it with me.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. That's funny as hell. We gonna get better at Taekwondo. We gonna go out there. Ain't nobody gonna be messing with us.
Right.
That's actually kind of cool. So like, would you say that your mother walking with you made the journey accessible for you?
Yeah, I'd say
Like, would you have done it if your mom wasn't there? Do you think you would have?
that I don't know, but probably not. To be real, there was I realized there was a moment in my life before high school where my mom and I were like this, you know, and I still feel that connection with my mom. So like we used to do everything together. I'm an only child, so I don't think I would have done much outside of my mom if she hadn't like spurred me to and exposed me to the things.
Got it. Yeah. Parents are our biggest influences for sure. So that's a large part of the reason why I live an active, healthy lifestyle and try to make sure that they actually know, like not just something I'm doing, but something they know I'm doing, right? Because it spurs them on to be more active, like my kids, to be more active. So I'm glad to hear that. I guess I should say mine.
Yeah. What's yours?
Mine is complicated, and I would say it's complicated because, like most people, I did move before my journey now, but I didn't fall in love with movement in the beginning stages. I was just doing things I was supposed to be doing. I also took martial arts, Taekwondo. I took some Kyokushin, and those things, again, they're like things that you do. Your parents put you in to give you discipline, things of that nature. Like, it's cool. So I think during that time, like it was funny because we actually I got into a scuffle over some stuff my brother said, and held my own just fine, but didn't win, right? Like I didn't take it as a win, it didn't feel like a win. And that was something we talked about. Like, you know, I always tell people like my family is a little, let's say, eccentric. So a lot of different things, how we viewed fighting, I think is a little different. Just being in conflict at all is viewed different than it is with the average family. It's part of the makeup, if you will. Yeah. So for me, getting into an altercation could be life or death. So like even being in that fight and not being able to hold my own made me frustrated. So like any good parent, they enrolled us in stuff, and that's cool. But that's not really where my fitness journey and my movement journey really started. My movement journey started as a grown man after I shattered my wrist and had 7 screws in it. That's where my movement journey really started. And it started there for me because, again, I played stuff as a kid, but the change in my life was definitely after I couldn't pick my daughter up one day. I try not to tell this story all the time, but like I shattered my wrist. I was playing basketball, trying to get back to being active. This was actually during a time where I was laid off from my job. And by laid off, I worked for a family job during the summer. It was much lighter work, so we would collect unemployment during that time. So I said, well, let me go play some basketball. I've done it before, no problems, no worries. And somebody ended up pushing me in the air, landing on my wrist, and I have a high tolerance for pain. I just pushed through it. Eventually, doing that enough times actually did shatter my wrist. I fell on it, completely broken, like 3-4 different places, just shattered. So that led to me having to get a rod into my arm. And I remember being the most depressed, the most anxious. Like I've been in the military, I've done all this stuff, and I've never been more anxious and depressed than when I couldn't do anything, right? Like just felt like all things were out of reach. So I'm sitting there doing what most of us do, entertaining myself with video games or videos. My daughter comes in, wants me to pick her up, and I'm like, nah, baby, I got a cast on my arm. I can't pick you up. And she's got to be 3, maybe 4, right? And I've always prided myself on being my kid's superhero. So like, before this, Daddy could do anything. Fair? So when I couldn't pick her up, she just kept asking, like, why, Dad, no, seriously, why can't you pick me up? And I got mad, I got frustrated, and I yelled at her. Like, I told you I can't pick you up. Go talk to your mom, go ask your mom. And like, her face, like the breakdown, the cry moment, shattered my ego a bit. And it made me extremely upset with myself. And I think I slipped even further into being angry with myself for a moment. And then on the other side, there became a moment of clarity. I was like, what am I doing? What is happening in my life? And that's when I finally made a vow. Like, I was going to physical therapy. I was doing the stuff they told me to do. I wasn't doing the exercises at home, right? Like, I was barely trying to skate by it. I'm sure there are a lot of Americans who can relate to this. But after that moment with my daughter, I said, I'm gonna change. I was like, no more. I was like, I will be her superhero. I will do the things that change. So I started going in, and every time I go in there, I give 110. And eventually that turned into me healing myself, right? And that is what led me to see what so many people really need, right? A space where they can get what they need and really change their life, right? Like, that was my whole goal. Yeah. So my fitness journey started after I shattered my wrist and wanted to be my daughter's superhero again. That was my beginning of the fitness journey. My movement journey actually started after bodybuilding. I didn't give a damn about movement outside of being strong. I just wanted to be strong. But I jacked my body up doing the whole bodybuilding thing. Like, I could barely move. I was in pain all the time. Just not, again, same stupid mess. Tried it, didn't work for me. So I had to adjust. I had to adjust and humble myself. And I tried all different types of. I tried powerlifting. I tried strongman. I tried Olympic lifting with a bar. Like, CrossFit. I was like, let me just keep trying stuff. And then I ran into easy work. And easy work, for those who do not know, if you're not from the Rochester area, they were a group of like-minded individuals, a black fitness group that used nothing but body weight in order to help themselves achieve physical fitness. Now, if you are from Rochester, first of all, there are not a lot of black spaces when it comes to fitness. So to see this group of brothers working out together reminded me of when I was in the military, one of my most successful times. The more I got to know these guys, the more I realized, we had Josh, we had Daryl, there was Luck, right? Mike, Dre, and I'm gonna give a little background on some of them. Daryl's a cop. He works for the city. He's been there for years. Josh is his brother who went to jail, came out of incarceration, got himself a master's degree, and now literally works with Food Link to provide food for areas and people. Evan is a firefighter in our area who actually doubles as a model for Rochester Runway every single year, but is a devoted father or a devoted husband. I don't know, I'm actually not sure if he's a father. But devoted husband and great friend, amazing friend. And then you have Dre. And Dre, if I've ever met someone who cares about people more deeply than he cares for himself, Dre's that person. So meeting this group of individuals from different walks. One guy was from jail, one guy wasn't. Shout outs to Velocity, he's also part of their group. And these guys they just came together. I hadn't seen that since I was in the Navy. So I joined them and got my ass kicked every day, probably for like almost a whole 3 months until I was finally able to start coming up. But I kept showing up, right? I'd get beat up and then one of them would get up with me. And like, I remember Mike, a moment where I was trying to do pull-ups and I couldn't move anymore. And Mike literally hopped on the bar with me while Luck held me up. And they encouraged me with their words and their movement. And I was just like, I came down, I was full tears, like crying. I was like, I haven't felt this supported in years. and like, it was like, bro, that's what we do. It wasn't made into some big thing. There wasn't some stop. It was like, no, that's what we do. Come on, let's keep going, right? Like, let's get it done while we support one another. I think that was the moment or the credos that helped me create the space. Fair? Yeah. So like, what we do here is what they did for me. So that whole setup, yeah, that was when I really realized that movement is the medicine that most of us need. Fair? So that was where Health is Wealth Movement is Medicine came from. It was from working with Easy Work. Oh yeah, yeah. So like the culmination of my own dark times and those who lifted me up in my journey helped me to create a space for others to get the same. So I would say, I would say that's it. I would say that would be exactly what did it for me.
That's fire.
I want to say, we always talking about how community and our space separates us from so many others. Not because we think we're better than them, but because we really put in the work. Like our people who think they're not even successful will go other places and realize how much they're actually capable of, because everything here is just at such a, let's say, intense level that they don't even realize how much they're capable of sometimes. And that's what I kind of saw today with Justine.
Yeah.
All she was thinking about was how much like she wasn't able to do for a moment. So I pulled her to the side, and that's why I did the whole like, let me work with you individually and encourage you. And that's why I'm so vigilant, man. I'm so vigilant because for every Junior, there's a Justine. For every Amy, there's a Kayla. Right? And if we don't help those people when they need it the most, we might be the last line of defense, man. Like before they give up on themselves. So like for me, if you come in my door, you have earned the right to have me really try to help you. And I hope everybody feels that when they come in here. But I was gonna ask Devin like how he feels about like watching beginners and all the things in between.
Well, I think that's always been why I do this. Like, I love watching people grow, and I love people watching, or love watching people.
He loves people watching. That's not.
I love people watching. I do, to be real. But I also love watching people like express and explore their passion, or discover a new one. And I see that in this space all the time. You know, I think one of the biggest things about growth that I love to see is knowing that there's fear around a certain thing. And I say this all the time, your first experience with something dictates your experience going forward. That's just how your brain works. If you had a negative experience with something, you're most likely not gonna head towards that.
And associating it with that negativity. Yeah.
And the same thing with positive experiences. If you had a first experience that was very positive, you're more likely to head towards that positive experience, whether it's uncomfortable or not. And I think that's what I'm seeing here is like you can reframe those negative experiences and you can make new positive experiences to where you end up heading towards your growth. That's really all we're doing here. It's like, oh, you don't like to jump? Let me show you an accessible way to build up to jumping, because maybe someone asked you to jump and you couldn't and you were embarrassed and now you don't want to jump anymore. You know?
Yeah, I want to say, agreed. Man, agreed. It feels like a heavy season for a lot of people, and like watching. I gotta find that story with Tasha about the hurdle and share that in the group.
Yeah,
like that is the epitome. Like remember when she first came in here? I don't jump. I can't jump. It's impossible to teach someone what's possible by their own actions and movements. It's like hell yeah, you can do that. Hell yeah, it's capable. Hell yeah, you could work through the thing and do the thing. It's absolutely a thing you're able to do. Watching that, oh my gosh, what an amazing thing. I can't even make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, I get hype inside.
I can't make a big deal out of it because it's funny, right? Like, I call it my own personal bend. And the reason I say that is because like I believe in you so much, I can't show you I'm surprised. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I don't think people really get that. Like people think that's like some people have been like, I didn't even think you like noticed how big. I was like, no, I definitely noticed. I just didn't want you to think that this is it.
Yeah.
This isn't the end. No, this is just the beginning of the things that you're capable of. Like, I knew you could do that. That's why I asked you to do it, right? We have been planning and setting up for you to be able to do this.
And I will say, I think the fact that like I am the way that I am and you have that personal bend is like balance, because some people, I'm realizing in this season that validation, I'm wondering where it fits in for people. You know, I don't ever want to validate so much that you don't actually introspect or you don't actually grow. And I see setting up the ethos that whatever you do that's amazing, all right, yeah, now what else can we do? You know, it's the Kobe Bryant thing.
Facts.
Now what else?
Right.
It's like, yo, you just
more.
Yeah, what's next?
More jumps.
And you need that. You need the small celebration, but not celebrating so much that you stop.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the end of your journey. It's just a milestone.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why like I started doing. I literally was like, no, like I'm not gonna do that. Like, you know, I celebrate you guys all the time, but like I celebrate you because I know the journey. You don't think the journey's ending. You're just excited about the next page or the next chapter. A lot of people will lose that 10 pounds and then they'll quit. Well, I did it, so I can go back. So that's where that kind of somberness came from. It was like no, we made that happen. But I've had faith in you this entire time that you could make it happen. So it's not a surprise. What's next, right? Like, let's do the next thing. Oh, you want to lose another 10? Let's do it. Like, that is where it comes from. So I'm like super excited about, we've got a couple new people and it has been happening like that more often. I'm not even like, this is me being 100% honest. I'm not even putting in a lot of work on the outside, and like people are coming in here and wanting to be part of what we do. To me, it feels like I'm supposed to give back in the other ways now. Like, again, the social media stuff, like Devin knows me, you guys don't in this regard, but I hope you get to know me. But I hate social media. Like, I don't like social media at all. It's full of so much people posturing and being things that they're not. And I just like when I ran with them the whole time, she was like, "Yo, you really are a team player." And then like, just for her to understand, I said, "There's a lot of people like me." And she was like, "I've never met anybody." So I was like, "Ooh, rah," like loud. And two dudes said, "Ooh, rah." I was like, there are more people like me than you know. They're just not, we're not loud. We're not crass. We're not asking for everybody to look at us. I am a team player. Like, at my core, I want community. I've just really never seen it done in a way outside of like easy work that meant to me. I've been part of other stuff. Right? I've been in other spaces and I'm like, this ain't family. This ain't tribe. This is just people coming together. So even when it comes to the word community, that's why I'm like, nah, I call you family or tribe. Like, that's why I use those words. I use those words because they mean something to me. Right? And like my brothers in the military, they'll always be family. There will never be a point where I don't view them as family. I will drop everything to go see them. Right? Like, never be a point where that's not a thing for me. And it's because of that. Again, we built something together. We went through hard times and I got to see the mettle of the person next to me. I will always, always be there for people like that. That is the hard part in my brain. Fair? So I'm hoping that you guys see this and you realize that Getting It Daily is a community full of people who care so much that we are willing to give of ourselves to make sure that you have. On top of that, and even more, we actually put in the work to help you work through your own things while we still focus on keeping ourselves well enough to continue to help you. All right, so reach out if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. If you want to join our community, you can check us out at www.gettingitdaily.com. And of course, man, look at all our stuff. Look at our events. Look at the different things we do. Join us. We would love to have you.
Plug in.
Peace.
Peace.